The vast darkness of space stretched endlessly around the Galactic Concorde patrol ship. Commander Tay stood on the bridge, his experienced eyes scanning the sensor readouts with practiced efficiency. For over 50 years, he had served the Concorde faithfully, maintaining peace among the 27 species that formed their interstellar alliance. "Commander," called out Officer Jaiwu, her voice unusually tense. "Unknown vessel detected at the edge of Sector 7. Tay moved swiftly to her station. "Classification? That's the problem, sir. It doesn't match any known configuration in our database." On the main viewscreen appeared an object that made Tay's breath catch. A massive ship, easily twice the size of the largest Concorde vessel, hung against the backdrop of stars. Its hull was dark and angular, with what appeared to be weapons emplacements dotting its surface. "Size estimate?" asked Tay. 2.3 kilometers in length, replied Jaiwu. "Power readings are extraordinary." The communications officer, Hannah, turned from her console. "Sir, they're hailing us." Tay straightened his uniform. On screen, the face that appeared belonged to a species Tay had never encountered. Pale skin, dark eyes, and black hair pulled tightly back from a face that seemed both soft and hard simultaneously. "This is Captain Park of the Terran human ship Indomitable. We come seeking habitable worlds." Tay maintained his diplomatic composure despite his surprise. "I am Commander Tay of the Galactic Concorde. Your species is unknown to us. Humans have only recently developed faster than light travel," Captain Park explained. "Earth is our homeworld, but we seek expansion." "Your vessel appears to be heavily armed for explorers," Tay observed carefully. A slight smile crossed Park's face. "Where we come from, Commander, exploration and defense are not separate concepts." Tay signaled to Hannah to mute the transmission momentarily. "Contact Concorde Central. Tell them we have first contact with an unknown species possessing advanced technology. Request diplomatic support." Turning back to the screen, Tay continued. "Captain Park, I extend an invitation to meet with our diplomatic team. The Galactic Concorde welcomes peaceful contact with new species." "Accepted," Park replied. "Though I must inform you that we maintain standard security protocols. We have additional vessels beyond your sensor range." Tay felt a chill at this casual admission. The implications were clear: this was not just an exploration ship but the advance scout for a fleet. 6 hours later, the meeting chamber aboard the Concorde diplomatic vessel Harmony was prepared for first contact protocols. Admiral Sora, the Concorde's senior diplomatic officer, had arrived through emergency transport. "What do we know about them?" Sora asked Tay. "Very little. They call themselves humans. Their technology appears both crude and advanced simultaneously. Their ship design prioritizes defensive capabilities, but they claim peaceful intentions." The door slid open, and 3 humans entered. Captain Park led, flanked by 2 officers introduced as Security Chief Doyen and Science Officer Minji. Admiral Sora performed the traditional Concorde greeting. "We welcome you among the stars, humans of Earth." "We appreciate your welcome," replied Park, her eyes taking in every detail of the room and its occupants. As they seated themselves, Tay noticed their movements were precise and controlled. Despite their smaller stature compared to many Concorde species, something about their bearing suggested strength. "Tell us of your people," invited Sora. Captain Park nodded to Science Officer Minji, who activated a small projector. Images appeared of a blue-green world with vast oceans. "Earth is what you might classify as a death world," Minji explained. "High gravity, extreme climate variations, natural disasters, and numerous predatory species. Humans evolved under these conditions." The images shifted to show cities, technology, and then, most disturbingly, warfare. "Our history includes significant conflict," Park continued matter-of-factly. "Competition for resources shaped our development. Only recently have we united globally." Tay exchanged glances with Sora. A species forged in such conditions would develop very differently from the carefully guided evolution preferred by the Concorde. "And your intentions in Concorde space?" asked Sora. Peaceful exploration and settlement of uninhabited worlds, said Park. We seek trade relations and knowledge exchange. Your vessel suggests other priorities, Tay noted. Captain Park's expression remained neutral. The Indomitable is a standard exploration battleship. The galaxy is unknown to us. We prepare for all possibilities. As the meeting continued, Tay could not shake a growing certainty: the arrival of these humans would change everything. Their very presence radiated a potential for both great cooperation and great destruction. 3 days after first contact, the Concorde Central dispatched its diplomatic vessel Harmony to formally welcome the humans. Commander Tay stood beside Admiral Sora as they prepared to receive the human delegation aboard the Harmony. Do you trust them? Sora asked quietly. Trust is premature, Tay replied. But they have maintained their position and made no aggressive moves. The airlock cycled open to reveal Captain Park accompanied by Security Chief Doyen and 5 other humans. Each wore a dark uniform with silver insignia. Unlike the flowing robes favored by Concorde diplomats, the human attire was fitted and practical, allowing for quick movement. Admiral Sora performed the formal greeting. Captain Park, the Concorde welcomes you. We have prepared a reception with representatives from 17 of our member species. We appreciate your hospitality, Park replied, her eyes scanning the corridor with practiced efficiency. The main reception hall had been decorated with symbols from various Concorde worlds. Representatives from across the Alliance stood in small groups, many unable to hide their curiosity about the newcomers. Minister Jinwoo, the tall, willowy representative from the Xindian Federation, approached first. Your vessel is quite remarkable, Captain. Our engineers are particularly interested in your propulsion system. Our FTL drive uses fold technology rather than the wormhole generators we've observed in your ships, Park explained. Different approach, similar results. Developed independently, asked Tay. Necessity drives innovation, replied Security Chief Doyen. Earth's resources were dwindling. We needed the stars. As the reception continued, Tay observed the humans carefully. They moved in a loose formation, always maintaining sightlines to each other and the exits. Even while engaged in conversation, they remained alert. Counselor Heian, a semi-aquatic being with translucent skin, approached Tay. These humans concern me, Commander. Have you seen their biological readings? Their muscle density, reaction times, skeletal structure, they evolved in conditions far harsher than most Concorde worlds. A product of their environment, Tay acknowledged. Products of violence, Heian corrected. I reviewed their historical data. Their planet has seen continuous warfare throughout their development. Across the room, one of the Marduk representatives, known for their imposing size and strength, was engaged in conversation with Officer Minji. Our homeworld has twice Earth's gravity, the Marduk boasted. We are considered the physically strongest species in the Concorde. Minji smiled politely. Impressive. On Earth, we have regions with different gravities due to planetary variations. Many of our military training facilities are located in high-gravity zones to build strength. The Marduk seemed taken aback. You artificially increase the challenge of your environment? Of course, Minji replied as if this were obvious. How else would we improve? Later, as the formal dinner began, Captain Park was seated beside Admiral Sora. The various foods had been carefully selected to be compatible with human biology. Your ship carries significant weaponry, Sora noted casually. Our scans detected multiple missile systems, energy weapons, and what appear to be kinetic accelerators. Park nodded while sampling a blue fruit. Standard complement for a vessel of our class. The Indomitable serves multiple roles: exploration, diplomacy, defense, and if necessary, military action. The Concorde has maintained peace for over 1,000 years, said Sora. Military action is rarely required. A testament to your diplomatic skill, Park replied. But peace is often protected by the capability for war. At the far end of the table, Security Chief Doyen was engaged in conversation with the military liaison from the Concorde Defense Force. Your Marines train for how long? Asked the liaison. Basic training is 6 months, specialized training another year, with continuous drills and scenarios thereafter, Doyen explained. Combat readiness is maintained at all times. The liaison seemed disturbed. But when not facing conflict, surely they stand down? There is no standing down, Doyen said simply. Only varying states of readiness. After the dinner, Commander Tay escorted Captain Park through the Harmony's Garden Dome, a peaceful space designed to showcase plants from various Concord worlds. Your Concord is impressive, Park said. 27 species working together harmoniously. It took centuries to build, Tay acknowledged. Peace is not always the easiest path, but it is the most rewarding. Park stopped to examine a flowering plant. We seek peace as well, Commander. But humans are realists. The galaxy is vast and likely holds threats neither of us has encountered. And if those threats never materialize? Tay asked. Then we will have been unnecessarily cautious, Park replied. But humans prefer that to being insufficiently prepared. As they continued their walk, Tay understood that these humans represented something the Concord had not faced in generations, a species that prepared for the worst while hoping for the best. Their arrival had already started shifting the balance of power in ways few could predict. The Concord station orbiting Nexus Prime sparkled like a jewel against the backdrop of space. Inside its grand conference chamber, the formal treaty negotiations between humans and the Concord were underway. Captain Park and her team sat on one side of the large circular table, while Admiral Sora and representatives from the major Concord species occupied the other positions. Commander Tay stood near the entrance, observing the proceedings with professional interest. The humans had been forthright in their requests: access to uninhabited systems for colonization, trading rights, and technology exchange. In return, they offered their unique technological advancements and cooperation in scientific endeavors. The Concord welcomes diversity, Admiral Sora was saying. But some council members have expressed concern about your military capabilities. Captain Park nodded. We understand those concerns. However, history has taught humans that peaceful intentions must be backed by strength. From the corner of his eye, Tay noticed a service door slide open. This was unusual. Staff typically waited until formal breaks to enter the chamber. 4 figures entered, moving with purpose. They wore the distinctive blue uniforms of station maintenance, but something about their movement pattern triggered Tay's combat instincts. Security Chief Doyen noticed too. His posture subtly shifted as his hand moved toward his sidearm. The first figure raised his arm, revealing not a maintenance tool but a pulse weapon. For the purity of the galaxy, he shouted in the harsh tones of the Zaxid language. Chaos erupted instantly. Tay's training took over as he dove for cover, drawing his ceremonial weapon. The attackers had positioned themselves strategically, one at each entrance point to the chamber. The first energy blast struck the conference table, sending fragments flying. Delegates scattered in panic. The second blast hit closer to the human delegation, scorching the wall behind them. What happened next astonished Tay. Rather than seeking cover, the humans moved with coordinated precision. Captain Park pulled Admiral Sora down behind the remnants of the table while Security Chief Doyen drew his weapon and fired in one fluid motion. The first attacker fell. The second adjusted his aim toward the fallen Admiral Sora, who was struggling to move with an injured leg. Captain Park placed herself between the attacker and the Admiral, drawing her own weapon. Science Officer Minji had somehow circled behind the third attacker and struck him with surprising force, sending him crashing into a wall. The weapon clattered from his grasp. The fourth attacker, seeing his companions neutralized, targeted Commander Tay, who had moved to protect the Shindian delegates. Tay braced himself for impact, but before the attacker could fire, Doyen launched himself across the room in a diving tackle that seemed to defy the station's gravity. The silence that followed the brief but intense conflict was broken by the sound of security alarms. Station forces arrived moments later to find the situation already contained. Zaxid extremists, Tay explained to the security chief. They've opposed the Concord's expansion for decades. Captain Park knelt beside Admiral Sora, applying pressure to her wounded leg. You need medical attention, Admiral. Your people reacted with remarkable efficiency, Sora said through gritted teeth. Standard security training, Park replied modestly. Later, as the station's medical staff treated the injured, Tay joined Doyen in the security office. The station's chief of security was reviewing footage of the attack. They bypassed 7 security checkpoints, the chief said, bewildered. How did you know they were threats so quickly? Body language, Doyen explained. Humans evolved as predators. We recognize hunting patterns. The chief looked uncomfortable with this assessment. They're being interrogated now. Initial findings suggest they're connected to the Zaxxid Purity League. Tay's communication device chimed. Commander, urgent message from Outer Patrol, came the voice of his first officer. Report, Tay responded. Long-range sensors detect multiple vessels approaching. Configuration matches hegemony warcruisers. Tay felt cold dread settle in his chest. The hegemony, a coalition of species that had rejected Concord membership, had been silent for years. Their sudden appearance could not be coincidence. He turned to Doyen. Your captain needs to hear this. In the station's command center, Captain Park studied the tactical display with narrowed eyes. 17 vessels, attack formation. They expected the assassination to succeed and create confusion. Admiral Sora, supported by medical devices, joined them. The Concord defense fleet is scattered. We can recall ships, but they won't arrive for hours. Park's expression hardened. The Indomitable can intercept them. 1 ship against 17? Tay asked incredulously. The Indomitable is not alone, Park replied, activating her communication device. Captain Park to Fleet Command. Defensive Protocol Omega. I repeat, Defensive Protocol Omega. On the long-range sensors, new signatures appeared, 7 massive vessels emerging from what appeared to be folded space. Their design matched the Indomitable but on an even larger scale. You said you had additional ships, Tay remembered. The First Fleet, Park confirmed. Humanity's vanguard. As the human vessels moved into defensive positions, Tay realized that what had begun as a diplomatic mission had transformed into something far more significant. The galaxy was about to witness humanity's true power. The command center of Nexus Station hummed with tense energy as officers from both the Concord and human forces monitored the approaching hegemony fleet. The holographic display showed 17 hegemony warships in attack formation, moving steadily toward the station. Admiral Sora, still recovering from her injuries, studied the tactical readouts. The nearest Concord reinforcements are 3 hours away at maximum speed. Captain Park stood beside her, calm and focused. The human First Fleet will engage the hegemony forces before they reach weapons range of this station. Commander Tay looked skeptical. 8 ships against 17? Numbers aren't everything in battle, Security Chief Doyen replied. The Indomitable had already taken position at the front of the human formation. Behind it, 7 massive battleships had emerged from fold space, each displaying the same angular, fortress-like design as the Indomitable but significantly larger. The communications officer turned from her console. Message from the hegemony fleet, Admiral. On screen, Sora ordered. The image of a Zaxxid commander appeared, his scaled face arranged in what passed for a smile in his species. Admiral Sora. How unfortunate that extremists disrupted your diplomatic efforts. The hegemony offers its assistance in this troubled time. Your concern is noted, Commander Vex, Sora replied coldly. However, your battle formation suggests different intentions. Vex's eyes shifted to Captain Park. Ah, the humans. We've monitored your communications. Primitive species should not interfere in galactic politics. Park's expression remained neutral. We're not interfering. We're defending allies against aggression. Your vessels are impressive in size, Vex sneered, but the hegemony has conquered dozens of worlds with superior technology. Stand down, and perhaps we'll allow your species to serve a useful purpose in our expansion. The transmission ended abruptly. Charming, Park commented dryly. She activated her communication link. All vessels, Combat Protocol Alpha. Protect the station at all costs. The hegemony fleet accelerated, breaking into 3 attack groups. Their lead vessels opened fire from maximum range, sending pulses of energy toward the human ships. Tay watched in fascination as the human vessels made no attempt to evade. Instead, the energy weapons splashed harmlessly against invisible barriers surrounding each ship. Deflection fields, explained Officer Minji, who had joined them. More efficient than standard energy shields. The Indomitable moved forward, suddenly accelerating to incredible speed. It cut directly through the center of the hegemony formation, weapons remaining silent. "What are they doing?" demanded one of the Concord officers. Tay understood the strategy a moment before it happened. They're dividing the enemy formation. The Indomitable had indeed split the hegemony fleet. Now the other human vessels moved into position, creating a perfect crossfire situation. The human ships finally opened fire. Instead of energy beams or plasma bursts typical of Concord and hegemony vessels, solid projectiles launched at incredible velocities, accompanied by precisely targeted energy weapons that struck with surgical precision. Kinetic accelerators, Minji explained. Mass drivers that launch projectiles at near relativistic speeds. No shield designed for energy weapons can stop them. The effect was devastating. 3 hegemony ships shattered under the impact, their shields useless against physical projectiles moving at such speeds. The hegemony fleet attempted to regroup, bringing their more powerful vessels to the front. They launched a coordinated barrage that temporarily overwhelmed one human destroyer's defenses, scoring hits against its hull. "The Resolute is damaged," reported Doyen, monitoring the battle feeds. Instead of retreating, the damaged human vessel accelerated directly toward the largest hegemony cruiser. At the last possible moment, it released what appeared to be small objects before changing course. "What are those?" Tay asked. "Boarding pods," replied Park calmly. The small objects attached themselves to the hegemony vessel's hull. Minutes later, the hegemony cruiser's weapons systems went offline. "Human Marines," explained Doyen. "Special forces trained for ship-to-ship combat." The battle continued for 43 minutes. When it ended, 11 hegemony vessels had been destroyed or disabled. The remaining 6 had retreated, jumping to faster-than-light speed with significant damage. The human fleet had lost no ships, though 3 showed damage to their outer hulls. In the silence that followed, Admiral Sora turned to Captain Park. "Your people fight like nothing I've ever witnessed." "Humans evolved as pack hunters," Park replied. "We coordinate instinctively in combat situations." Commander Tay studied the battle records with growing concern and admiration. The humans had not just won, they had dominated a numerically superior force using tactics no Concord strategist would have conceived. "The hegemony has been expanding unchecked for decades," Sora said quietly. "No one has stood against them successfully until today." Captain Park looked at the tactical display showing the retreating hegemony signatures. "They will return with greater numbers." "And will humanity stand with the Concord when they do?" asked Tay. Park's eyes met his. "We protect our allies, Commander. That's another human trait you should understand." As repair teams were dispatched and damage reports came in, Tay realized the galaxy had changed forever. The hegemony had been feared for generations, but now they had met something they feared more: humans at war. 6 months after the Battle of the Seventh Nebula, the first human colony world was thriving. Named New Terra, the planet orbited a yellow star at the edge of what had once been contested space. Commander Tay stood on the observation deck of the Concord diplomatic station that orbited the planet, watching the bustling activity below. "Impressive progress," said Admiral Sora, joining him at the viewport. Her leg had healed, though she now walked with a slight limp. "Humans work quickly," Tay replied. "Their main settlement already houses 10,000 people. Below them, the human colony spread across a fertile valley. Buildings rose in orderly patterns, farms extended outward from the central hub, and construction vehicles moved purposefully across the landscape. Most striking was the defensive perimeter, subtle but unmistakable to trained eyes. They build like they expect attack, Sora observed. They prepare for possibilities, Tay corrected. A distinction I've come to appreciate. The door slid open to admit Captain Park, now wearing the insignia of ambassador. The Battle of the Seventh Nebula had elevated her status significantly within both human and Concord hierarchies. Admiral, Commander, she greeted them warmly. Enjoying the view? Your people have accomplished much in little time, Sora acknowledged. Park nodded. Necessity drives efficiency. Earth remains overpopulated. Each colony world relieves that pressure. The three turned as a small group entered the observation deck, a class of children from the colony, accompanied by their teacher. Most were human, but Tay noticed several Shindian and Marvik youngsters among them. The first mixed-species educational program, Park explained. An experiment in cultural integration. The children gathered at the viewport, pointing excitedly at the stars and the station's external features. One human boy helped a smaller Shindian child get a better view by lifting her up to see. She's from the Shindian diplomatic family, Sora noted. They've embraced the opportunity to raise their daughter among humans. Children adapt more easily than adults, Park said. They see differences as interesting rather than threatening. As the children moved to another section, their teacher, a tall human woman, engaged them in a lesson about space navigation. Tay noticed how she addressed questions to different species based on their particular strengths: spatial awareness questions to the Zindians, mathematical calculations to the humans. The hegemony has requested formal peace talks, Sora mentioned, changing the subject. For the first time in their history, they've approached the Concord as equals rather than conquerors. Fear is a powerful motivator, Tay observed. As is respect, Park countered. Our intelligence suggests their leadership has been restructured. The war faction has lost influence. The station's communication system chimed softly. Ambassador Park, incoming transmission from THS Defender. Park excused herself to take the call in private. When she returned minutes later, her expression was serious but satisfied. The last hegemony holdout in Sector 12 has surrendered, she informed them. The Joint Concord Human Patrol Fleet accepted their formal capitulation. Tay considered the implications. The balance of power has shifted completely in half a year. Balance implies stability, Park said. We prefer peace through strength. Later that day, they attended the official opening of the new Terra Colonial Center, a massive structure that combined government functions, cultural exhibits, and commercial spaces. Representatives from 23 Concord species mingled with human colonists. Minister Jinwoo of the Shindian Federation approached their group. Ambassador Park, my government has authorized me to offer formal military exchange programs. We wish to learn human combat techniques. An interesting development, Park replied. Just months ago, many in the Concord feared our military capabilities. Perspective changes when those capabilities shield rather than threaten, Jinwoo said simply. As the celebration continued, Tay found himself speaking with Security Chief Doyen, now commander of the Human Defense Forces in this sector. Do you miss Earth? Tay asked. Sometimes, Doyen admitted. But humans have always looked to new horizons. This colony represents our future. And the Concord's future as well, it seems, Tay added, watching as humans and aliens engaged in animated conversations throughout the hall. Our histories are now linked, Doyen agreed. The galaxy will never be the same. As night fell on New Terra, lights from the colony created patterns visible from orbit. The Indomitable remained in system, a guardian of the peace it had helped create. Beside it floated 3 Concord vessels, once potential adversaries, now allies. In the Colonial Center's garden, a memorial had been erected to those lost in the Zaxxid attack and subsequent battle. Around it, human and alien children had planted flowers from various worlds, a living symbol of cooperation. Admiral Sora stood before it, reading the simple inscription, "Together we are stronger." Do you believe that? Park asked, joining her. I didn't, Sora admitted. Now I do.